So Kathleen Kennedy is front and center once again talking about taking a sledgehammer to Star Wars. Why is she doing that? Well, because she's rewarded for doing so. As you can see here, with her winning a BAFTA or a British Academy Film and Television Award. Isn't that lovely? What she's talking about in this is giving someone a Star Wars movie simply because of their gender. Why would she do that? Well, because she's a role model, she claims. Because she's inspiring people. Because the future is, I forget, what's that word again? Oh yeah, right. I mean, seriously, imagine framing this another way, saying, hey, we need more male directors out there. You know, because of role models. Everyone looks up to men. You know what they would call that afterwards? They would call that canceled. Oh yeah, definitely. So hey there. So today I want to return to that wonderful world of trash fires to talk about my favorite trash fire out there. That's right. You guessed it, Disney's Star Wars and Kathleen Kennedy at the helm. Now all of this revolves around the BAFTAs, and to truly understand that ego and the pomp that you see in these comments, you have to look at how the BAFTA builds people up. I mean, here is an excerpt from this, and I mean, look at this description for it. We start out with a quote saying, I like being a role model. It's exciting to me that young women are inspired by what I've done. About me, I like what I am here. You look up to me. And then look at this. Kathleen Kennedy might be Hollywood's most powerful woman, but she's still a little unused to the spotlight. For years, she served comfortably as a puppeteer, an invisible hand pulling at the strings. Now it's Kennedy's moment to step out of the shadows. As president of Lucasfilm, she's the person behind a new generation of Star Wars films, television shows, books, and games. I am much more comfortable behind the camera, she jokes, but I like being a role model. It's exciting to me that young women are inspired by what I've done. Oh man, I am the invisible puppeteer. You will dance for me, I say. Now, I want you to notice how fast they turn to buzzwords in here, too, and that's the expectation for all of this. In 2012, George Lucas set Kennedy down to propose that she take over Lucasfilm after he retired. I thought he was asking me who I thought might come in and take over, she says. I didn't realize he was actually asking me, but she gratefully accepted the role and became president when Lucasfilm was acquired by Disney several months later. Now, here's your key here. Under Kennedy, Star Wars has allowed its community to feel more inclusive than ever. Its community feels more inclusive. Wow, what a headline. Not only is the new trilogy led by a female hero, that's important here, right? Daisy Ridley's Rey, but more than half of Kennedy's own executive team at Lucasfilm are women. Dun dun dun, that really matters too. To Kennedy, a producer has three main skills: communication, flexibility, and empathy. But it's clear, even if she doesn't say it, that her success always comes from forward thinking that she's remained. I get asked a lot, are you going to write a book? Have you kept a journal? She says, and no, I don't have time. Of course she doesn't have time. I mean, she's got to set the franchise on fire. What else would that leave? Now, here are two people responsible for the BAFTAs, the chief executive of BAFTA and the chair of BAFTA's film committee. And the chair here, they'll get into the buzzwords heavily. The first one says, I'm delighted that we are recognizing Kathleen Kennedy's impressive career with a BAFTA fellowship. Her contribution to filmmaking has been exceptional. She is a trailblazer who has opened the door for many people to join the industry, and the number of iconic cinematic moments she has helped bring to the big screen has enriched the industry and enthralled the cinema-loving public. Now, you can see that crawl a little bit toward the buzzwords, but look at this door get rushed with a second. Through all her productions in the UK, Kathleen Kennedy has led the industry in her commitment to encouraging training, inclusion, and diversity at all levels of cast and crew. Again, you are basically the color of your skin. You are basically your genitalia. You are nothing else. She has happily shouldered the responsibility which falls to these major productions, and her personal impact on improving the range of superb available behind the camera talent is second to none. Again, talent equals the above things. Quote-unquote inclusion, quote-unquote diversity, aka don't look at the skill level, look at this. And that's where we fall after the BAFTAs. So after the ceremony, there were droves of reporters present, and they wanted to all get interviews. There were some interesting things said, too, and especially in this BBC report. Now, to note, I would show you this report, but, well, the BBC is notorious about going out and putting down material they quote-unquote own, so therefore, we're going to go over statements. So this is the media's framework for this. The Star Wars franchise recently finished off the Skywalker saga by bringing the story of Rey to a close. The first female protagonist in a live-action Star Wars film was a big step forward for the series, but while the Star Wars movies have done better with representation in front of the camera in recent years, the brand has received some criticism over the years for its lack of that behind-the-same camera. To put it bluntly, all the directors of Star Wars films have been dudes. In the past, Kathleen's comments on potential female directors in Star Wars have been criticized because she implied that a female director would need to prove themselves before handling a Star Wars movie, which doesn't seem like much to ask, except that at some point, any director has to be given a chance, and if they're not, they can never prove anything. So you notice the framework to this and the implication. Two things, really. Number one, oh my God, how dare you imply that people have to prove anything? And Kathleen Kennedy has said that in the past. Number two, at the BAFTA Awards, she basically went back and reversed that, saying, hey, now that we had the floodgates open, you don't have to prove anything, because... So last night, Kathleen Kennedy was awarded the BAFTA Fellowship by the British Academy of Film and Television Arts, a Lifetime Achievement Award, which is the highest honor given by the organization. Following the presentation, the BBC asked Kennedy about the future of women behind the camera at Star Wars, and Kennedy stated that the franchise is already moving forward with female directors, both in regards to The Mandalorian and the upcoming Obi-Wan series on Disney+. According to Kennedy, we've already got them. We're doing Mandalorian. We've got 2 or 3 fantastic women working with Star Wars. And we just brought in Deborah Chow, who is working in the Obi-Wan series. Now, what's insulting about these statements is that the directors that have been responsible for anything with The Mandalorian, they did not want to be judged like this. They wanted to be judged for the caliber of their merit, what they actually produce, and not by some checkbox. So Kathleen Kennedy is reducing them to that simply because she can. Now, the media, they didn't want that answer, as you can see from portions like this. If you look at that, all of those accomplishments, all of that accoutrement, it's given 2 sentences, 2 freaking sentences before they move on to something else, because that's not what they want to hear. What they really wanted to hear was about the big screen and also about the lack of quote-unquote inclusion and diversity, as you'll notice in this statement. Of course, Disney Plus series isn't really the question that was being asked. Of course not. What we're curious about is women directing the flagship, taking on the big screen theatrical Star Wars films. When pressed on that, Kathleen Kennedy says that yes, it will happen. Oh, absolutely, without question. While it seems certain, yes, one day a woman will direct a Star Wars film, we have no idea when that will be, mostly because we have no idea exactly what will be happening to Star Wars on the big screen. There are 3 movies on Disney's release calendars coming out every other year starting in 2022, but with the exit of D&D, who are helming the first of them, we don't really know what the plan is of now. Of course, the Game of Thrones pair leaving certainly opens the door for a woman to come in and pick up things. So you see how they want to put that. And while seeing women direct episodes of Star Wars TV might feel like a significant step below the big screen, perhaps it will turn out to be the path to getting the big screen gig. Either way, the day that we'll see this new perspective on Star Wars is coming. We just don't know when. Now, considering the media's hyper-focus on specific elements out there, of course this is what you're going to hear. The BAFTAs, what do they focus on? Joaquin Phoenix delivering powerful speech about the lack of diversity in this year's award season. 1917 and the Joker dominate BAFTA awards. Joaquin Phoenix, he's addressing inclusion and diversity in speech. No wonder these people have their TV accomplishments pushed aside. No wonder we hyper-focus on this one thing while throwing out everything else. Because merit, because accomplishment and award, That doesn't matter. What matters is who we give it to and exactly how they look. But anyway, you tell me what you think. Now, ending this, just briefly, I want to thank you for showing up and participating. You make these endeavors possible. Without you, these people forget this all the time. None of this stuff works. So, thank you for your time. If you'd like to sub and everything, you know that drill by now. But again, just want to thank you for being here. And we'll do this again soon. So again, thank you and see you later.